All right, Mel. It looks like I've successfully moved that tab back into place. And by the way, just after the cap job, there's so much more body, low end and punch, and more volume. Just those caps were holding her back. So much beef. And then here, you can see all the way up, we're not getting that loud buzz anymore. And I do suspect that all 4 of these jacks have been replaced. And it was just some premature metal fatigue. Great, then awesome. Otherwise you would be hearing it here just tip on tip. Beautiful. So I've got her chucked up into the stand, and now we could do some proper work. I haven't used this in a long time, and I just thought it was super cool. If you have a free spool of solder just laying around, I like to use these little cable clamps on the little struts there on the base. And you just throw a chopstick through it, and you have a little place for your spool to go as you're kind of working up on a chassis. Otherwise, I use this guy. I'll just move him wherever I need him to go. But yeah, I'm going to clean up some of this heater wiring now that I'm in there, just becoming familiar with the place. I'm going to replace your, so for your vibrato circuit, that's this little area here on the circuit board. You've got all the original components there. You have a 0.02, 0.01, and 0.01. These 3 disc caps are going to be part of the oscillator. But we can adjust the speed. It's like a tail, or it's a mod as old as time on these amps. It's nothing new. I'm not inventing here. But I will replace this 0.01 with a 0.02, so you'll have 2 0.02s and then 1 0.01. Let me shut her off so I don't electrocute myself. Not today, Satan. So you'll get a lower slow speed without impacting the top end. And then there's a little bit that we can do with respect to adjusting the intensity with another component here. But again, like I was mentioning, one of the main things holding you back, being that this is a bias wiggle trim setup, is the fact that either you have mismatched quad of tubes, and of course you do, and then you have one that's incredibly noisy here, so they may not be aging in tandem, or at least identically. Where the bias is set according to whatever tube's on the extreme end of current draw will impact the final outcome of intensity for that trim or vibrato. So with a nice fresh quad of tubes that are all pulling the same amount of current, we're able to like bring them up and down and not have to compensate for one being too hot or too cold. And we can really adjust that vibrato to be in the sweet spot for intensity. But I will say that it's a bit of a balancing act. That there's a compromise to be had. If for guys who like a bit of a hotter bias setting, it's going to flatten out that vibrato effect. So the intensity, the perceived intensity, will be reduced by a bit. So, but I think for me, a good rule of thumb is between 50 and 60% of max plate dissipation will get you a nice range with respect to intensity, and then also keep the tubes in a nice happy place for creating that nice glassy, strong, clean tone with that nice tight fundamental that these amps are known for. So all that said, I've got to put the iron down for today, but coming back this evening, and we will get this guy moving further along as we wait for the power cord and the new quad to arrive. Super interesting design. And I think just given my experience with amps from the 40s all the way through to more contemporary amps, I would say that the 60s, for my taste and money, would represent the pinnacle of tube amp design for me, and construction rather. The components had matured away from the wax covered stuff. Leo Fender with his construction style, I would say in particular, the ease of serviceability, the whole thing. And I see some joints that I will have to clean up here. I would say the 60s are just, for me, just the best decade for amp stuff. I'm just in love with the 60s. I really am. Beautiful. Anyway, let me cut this off. I've got some things to do, and I will update you again soon. And then look at this little guy. I just caught him. Where's it at? I'm losing it in the camera. But this little dude right here, I'm going to have to touch up some things here. And I suspect we could even take this guy off. I bet the layout is so clean, you don't even need that little guy there. But that's for another day.